tad bit. You're still dark though. You got a ring light?
I do. It's on. Like, that's what I'm doing.
Hi, Instagram. Hi, Instagram. Look, we're over on Zoom and on Facebook, and we're very focused on getting Dr. Ashley some better lighting.
That's better.
That's better.
Is that better?
Yeah,
That's a little better.
Okay. Thank you, love.
He's gonna break it down for you a little bit after this. Are you a photographer, Lamar?
No, he's just my life's muse.
I love it. I love it.
Massage therapist.
Massage therapist. Okay, that's right.
Same here.
2 massage therapists in the house. All right. We're having a whole conversation over on Zoom, guys. So if you want to join us, come on over. We're going to be talking about natural solutions for focus this morning. So Dr. Ashley Anderson will be hopping over on Instagram shortly. Right now. And we're going to get the party started. So while you guys are joining us on Insta and on so a lot of places, drop in the chat your favorite oils. Really need to like tune in and focus. Let us know what you guys do, so we know. Right. Are we doing it?
I think we're here. We are here.
All right. Happy Tuesday. We are doing it. Yes. I see Heather hopping over from Instagram. Yes. If you're joining us on Instagram or you're watching on Facebook, hop on over to Zoom if you want to have some dialogue and conversation with us. I'm Dani Flynn. This is Dr. Ashley Anderson and her cute kiddos. Hey! And today we're talking about oils for focus. We're talking about natural solutions for focus. So it's bigger than just oils. It's a whole conversation. And I think, I don't know about you, Ashley, but I get this question all the time, particularly when it comes to kids. People want to look for natural ways to help support their kids. Maybe they have some attention deficit issues. Second point. How can we help support them babies? So listen, you're the doctor. The doctor's tell us when you have someone that comes to you for this, like what are some of the first things that you recommend?
Yeah, so I think sometimes we start off thinking about focus as an isolated problem. Just like I cannot focus, but not looking at all the lifestyle things around it that can cause inability to focus. Sometimes it's truly a symptom. So the first thing that I like to do before I even discuss treatment options or options with essential oils and natural things is how much sleep are you getting? Because there are, like I said, there are several lifestyle things that can make your brain misfire or not function like it normally does. Sleep is one of those things. Our office used to do these brain scans. During those scans, what's up, Juan Keith? I see you on here. I'm gonna text you when this is over. I had to say that. I've been missing him for like a long time. But anyways, we used to do these brain scans where it would measure if your brain was trying to fall asleep when you closed your eyes for just like 30 seconds to show a level of fatigue. And a lot of times people were coming in for these scans because they were having issues with focus, forgetfulness, like brain fog as they would describe it. And it all turned out that they're just exhausted. So when your brain is not getting enough rest, it will behave as if you have symptoms of early onset dementia and Alzheimer's, all those things. Like, sleep is vital to brain function. You cannot focus if you are not getting enough sleep. What you gotta say, Dani? You done leaned into the camera, honey.
Well, I'm learning, absorbing all of this. You said something that just, I don't know. You said the brain was falling asleep. So it's the brain falls asleep.
Yeah, I mean, your body goes to sleep. Like, you need to rest.
Yeah, so when we are not able to focus, it's because our brain is taking a little nap.
It needs to.
It needs to.
Yeah.
And so
It's like if you're not
if it's not
getting
rested.
for an adult that 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, your brain cannot work the way it's supposed to. So you're not going to be able to remember things. You're not going to be able to focus. You're going to feel scattered and foggy and all of those things because you're not getting your sleep.
So it's our brain is a little tired. Very interesting. Did you, I mean,
Period.
do you guys have, I don't know, is this new for anybody else or just me? I never thought about it like in that way, right? I just kind of felt like for me, my brain is always running 1,000 miles. That's the life that I live in. So I need help. Like my brain is like overactive. It ain't tired. It's like overactive. So is that another type of lack of focus?
Yeah. So there are, I wrote down 3 of the most common issues for lack of focus besides a true attention deficit type of disorder.
Okay.
So the first is lack of sleep, fatigue. The second is lack of nourishment. So if you're not getting enough food in your system, the glucose levels aren't high enough, your insulin levels are all over the place, your brain is not going to work like it's supposed to. So we should be sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. We need to be eating every 2 to 3 hours while we're awake, some sort of protein source and a carbohydrate. A lot of times people do these like no carb diets. It's not good for brain function. So you have to make sure that you're giving your brain what it needs to actually function. And when we talk about nourishment, I also am going to put like a little caveat in here for omegas, because the omegas, I think a lot of times we think about omegas as it relates to joint support, heart health, and all those things. It really helps to support and nourish your brain. So if you're not getting enough omegas in your diet, I recommend supplementing, even just because I think our food source is not what it used to be. So we have solutions for that, which we'll talk about on the other side. But sleep, nourishment, and dehydration are the 3 things, like top 3 things, most common things that make people not be able to focus. So if your brain is dehydrated, your brain is sitting in a solution of fluid, right? If you are dehydrated, it's not going to do what it's supposed to do. So those are a few lifestyle things that we can work on if you are having issues with focus, that can be really easy fixes, and it will probably change your entire life. So that's one thing. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, and you have a crazy brain like me, know that if you're not checking the boxes in those other lifestyle areas, it will be worse and harder to manage. But there are conditions. Anxiety is one of them. And you're right, water is not hydrating enough. That is we have to have electrolytes as well to help balance. It's a whole system. We've got, we can talk about recharge and stuff on the other side for hydration, but water is a good start because some people aren't even doing that. A lot of people are drinking sweet tea and soda and all of that and thinking that is liquid. They're putting liquid in their body, and that's really not doing the job. So, there's conditions like anxiety. Depression can do it as well. But then there is the true diagnosis of like an ADD, ADHD type of thing that can cause your brain to just, be all over the place. So you have issues with completing tasks or, even just remembering where I put my keys. Forgetfulness shows up as a symptom as well. And so there's ways to manage those things naturally. People ask that all the time. So you ask me like, how do I start when people start, coming to me about focus? I always start with the lifestyle things to see if we can put our finger on little lifestyle things that can be fixed to put your brain in a more optimal space to work and function properly. And then we start talking about, what do you think is the cause? Like, sometimes it's just a busy brain. I'm busy and stressed and a little bit anxious. In those spaces, I always recommend using adaptive. That is one of my first lines of defense, the capsule. just because the ahi flower in there is a plant-based omega. That's not enough. I think we should still use the Lifelong Vitality, and I normally double up on the XE omegas for folks that have focus issues. But that's a good starting point. And then the adaptive capsule, because again, it has the GABA, the ahi flower in there, and then all of the oils that are going to allow you to calm your brain and nervous system down, but still let you be focused and alert. I call it like quiet and calm alertness. That's how I feel when I take adaptive. So that would be my first thing to try out. I use that in conjunction with Intune. So I like it on the temples, like put it right where we need it. The temples, behind the ears, wrists, even I place it over my heart and reapply that when I'm really needing to focus and lock in, like this morning when my children are in the other room acting in entire full while I'm trying to focus on the Zoom. We use Intune this morning. So those are my favorite too, like the omegas and Intune and adaptive. Huge for adults. For my kiddos.
Well, can I pause and ask you a couple questions?
Yeah, please.
So, your personal regimen, and you would consider yourself like me, like someone with like an I don't know if that hyperactive brain, like you're right?
Yes.
But also like, so one of my friends was talking about me the other day. I was like, oh, like your anxiety. But here's the thing, like it's a blessing and a curse because I can get it done, right? And there's another side of that. So I see that in you too, like get her done.
Knock it out.
But I would love to, to tone it down a little bit occasionally. Like it gets to be a bit much. I use the adaptive capsules every night. I personally can't use the adaptive capsules during the day because it, unless I'm really, really anxious or stressed, like if I'm flying or traveling, my anxiety is higher than, but it slows my brain down a little too much. I think it's the GABA. And I start to speak like this.
So are you speaking like that?
That's what it feels like.
Yes, you're probably used to going, and so your normal seems like chopped and screwed.
That's probably exactly what it is. Maybe I'll take it during the day, one day, and see how people respond to me. Because maybe I need to be in a downshift.
Well, and what's interesting though is that's the real transition, right? Like, because when you're used to this, the spiral 100 miles a minute, and then you go to where like, oh, I'm still having those inspired thoughts, and I'm able to like focus and lock in and get things done, but without like like that, it feels different. And sometimes you're like, am I okay?
Right. I'm moving too slow over here. Everything is in like slow motion. I'm gonna try it. Good call out.
And maybe not. Like you're probably not even moving slow. You're probably just being more efficient.
Yeah, and it just feels slow. Yeah, it feels because I'm just used to my brain like but a boom. Like it's like let's go, let's get her done. So when it slows that down, I'm like, well, I'm in a place right now where I need you to go fast, right? So all right, I'm gonna try that. And I have recently heard to double the omega. So I take the Lifelong Vitality. So if you're new here, Lifelong Vitality is our best-selling product. It's not an oil. It does have oils infused in it. But there are 3 different types of, 3 different supplements in there. And within there is an omega. And that omega includes 9 different essential oils, including the King frankincense. And so I've always used it for heart, for joint health. But of late, I'm learning that those omegas are really like food for our brains. So I'm hearing that if you're one that deals with a lot of anxious thoughts and your brain does function like that, doubling up on the omegas may be a good place to start. So I'm going to start that this month. I'm doubling it up on my LRP this month. Is that what you always do? Because you are a cool cucumber.
Listen, I am oiled up constantly. So let's just talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
I think I was actually having this conversation last night with Kesha. She and her team. Shout out to Kesha. On the inside, I'm often until I'm oiled up properly, like all the time.
Yeah.
But my outside is, I present very stoic and together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so some of that I think is pageant training.
Okay.
Some of that is just, I don't know, me, the way I show up. But I'm very strategic with grounding oils. Like I start my day with blue tansy and cedarwood every morning. Blue tansy on the toes, cedarwood in my hands for my entire meditation. So if I'm doing a 7-10 minute meditation, I am breathing cedarwood in that entire time. I put it over my heart and behind my ears before my feet hit the floor. And that helps my brain to be more clear. The sesquiterpenes in there is like one of the highest in any of the essential oils that is optimal for like mental clarity and grounding. So that's a really great place to start. I also tend to be anxious, which thus the brain, and also have 2 small children that are super busy. So schedule is insane. So I am really big on my lifelong vitality, the doubling the omega piece. I also take adaptive once a day, and I take serenity capsules during the day as well. I take one of those during the day because otherwise.
That's why you're calm and cool. I feel like it would put me.
I remember when cedarwood was like the product of the month, and I was going live in the group to talk about it, and my kids were turned up. This was like a year ago, so this was like, they were way more crazy back then. And I was like, you know what? The fact that I'm on the Zoom speaking like this with that going on is a testament that cedarwood works.
Duly noted.
Someone asked on Insta about using a carrier oil. I don't use a carrier oil with cedarwood. It's a very calm oil, so I don't ever use a carrier on myself or the kiddos for that.
Interesting. I
look like you're thinking, girl.
Well, because I do those things at night because sleep is sleep before doTERRA was fleeting. Like I barely was able to sleep, and I would show up in the world as like this irritable, moody person. Like that's kind of how people would refer to me. Somebody had me listed moody in their phone.
Oh,
hurt my feelings. But that's kind of how I presented, and I think there was some hormone imbalancing. I'm certain there was some hormone imbalancing as well, but also just very, very anxious and nothing. I didn't realize, back then, like this was probably like, how old am I? This is probably like, 10, 15 years ago, anxiety was not discussed like it is now. So I just, I'm thinking I'm just a little crazy. But so I wasn't sleeping, and that was, creating a whole lot of other problems. And I was in a very high stress job, a very high stress job. But it was for someone like me. I perform thank you, P-Man, because
thank you.
He says we both seem very calm right now. Thanks. But I was in a very high stress job, and I perform very well under pressure. Does that mean I should be under pressure to perform? No. And so, there were some self-induced things happening back then. So anywho, when I started with doTERRA, one of the first things that I started to do was balance on the big toe. And that worked, and I did it religiously morning and night, balance on the big toe. And I saw a big, huge difference in how I moved about, and balance was just a part of my day every day. But I remember the best I ever felt with doTERRA was probably maybe 2 months into my doTERRA journey. And at that point, I was doing every day, I was doing balance and in tune on the bottom of my feet, on my
That's
big
a good
toe.
combo.
Yes. And I stopped for some reason. I think maybe I just ran out of Intune. Intune is a little bit more expensive. So I think that's what was in my head. And I was doing all the things. Like what you said, like start with the lifestyle and kind of see. I just jumped in and did all the things.
Everything.
So I wasn't sure what was making me feel how I felt, which was very calm, very in control. And my anxiousness was so much that I was just used to knots in my stomach. Used to it. Just anytime anything would happen, my stomach would do this, like this. So that was the first thing I noticed, that I stopped having that physiological reaction to stress and anxiety, or something small would happen and it wouldn't trigger my tummy knot in knots. Like somebody would say, my husband is notorious for like trying to scare me. And before it would be a whole physical reaction. Now it's just, I'm annoyed, get out of here, you know, but my stomach doesn't knot up, right? So I noticed that was probably one of the first things that I was doing balance and in tune. I felt very focused and I was able to get, you know, throughout my day. Now I use in tune and motivate when I need to like really like cloud everything out and get it done. And let me tell you what it does to me, guys. You better watch out. I am so locked in. Excuse me. Like I am so, it's frightening. It's a little bit frightening when I use those. So I don't do it all the time because it scares me. But those two together work really, really well when you like crank it out.
A really good combo.
Yeah, but
someone's asking about balance on the big toe. Why the big toe?
Oh, okay. There's a lot of stuff happening over here at Insta. Hey, y'all. Okay. Well, the big toe is a reflexology point to the brain, right? And so I used to have, that's one of my first introductions to essential oils was through a reflexologist, and she would always manipulate that big toe to calm me down. And she would always use vetiver on me, the little natural tranquilizer on my little anxious self, on the big toe. I don't know. Is that your answer?
Yes.
Yeah.
And especially for those of us with busy minds that can't turn them off to sleep. Vetiver on the big toe is magic for that.
Yes, for sure.
So during the day, yes. And I think that was kind of maybe your eyebrow raised when I said taking the Serenity soft gels during the day.
That's where I was going.
It's interesting. Yeah, that how the oils recognize what our bodies need and gives us that. So if I take Serenity during the day, I feel calm. If I take it at night, KO'd, knocked out. But I don't feel drowsy. It's the same with me and frankincense. I didn't mention that, but that's twice a day in my regimen still. But if I take frankincense in the morning, I feel grounded, calm, relaxed. If I take it at night, good night. Okay. So anybody else mind blown by Serenity soft gel? And use the soft gel, yeah? In the morning. And it's even better with the tart cherry. Oh, okay. I'm going to try it. I might not get anything done. I take Serenity Adaptive Copaiba. That's my triple threat at night. And if I'm particularly anxious or something is going on in my mind, I need it to shut off. I will go up to 4 Copaiba at night. My body loves that oil. And I'm out, like out. One time, the first time I did that, you guys, I'm not exaggerating. You're going to think that I'm just trying to make y'all laugh, but I'm telling you, this is what happened. I took that and I woke up the next morning and I felt like my conscious and my subconscious was having a conversation. And I was like, did I die? Am I being resurrected? I literally thought I was resurrected. I slept so soundly. Sleep is the issue. We need to do a whole thing about sleep. Anywho, yes, so the idea of doing it in the daytime, I feel like my body's gonna be like, hey, what are we doing? But I'm gonna try it. At the same time, Adaptive and Serenity at the same time? Yeah, I take them together. Which is interesting because now that we're talking about this, it is like a wonder that I'm awake, but also not a wonder that I'm getting stuff done because I take Adaptive in the morning, a Serenity soft gel. I take a Copaiba soft gel in the morning with my turmeric and frankincense. So that's why you're so calm, cool, and collected. Okay, guys, are y'all taking notes? Because I'm taking notes because I'm trying to be like Dr. Ashley. We did an event together last month. Was it last month we were in Nashville? Yeah, it was. And I was like, I'm worried about this and I'm worried about that. And Ashley's like, it's okay. It's all right. We'll work it out. So now I know why. I'm about to try this regimen and see what happens to me. Okay, so Charity ATL Girl is saying, what do you take daily? So let's just recap for everybody.
What does Dr. Ashley take every day for focus and calmness? Okay, ready?
So when I wake up, I use the cedarwood oil as a part of my meditation, my morning meditation. And I use Latanzi on my big toe, not necessarily for that. The cedarwood is more for calming my brain and being able to start the day off grounded. So I would say cedarwood to start the day there. Then when I take my oils, I will, my goodness, we're digging in the deep freezer over here. But when I take my oils, I will do a Serenity soft gel, an adaptive capsule, a capsule of Coke by Eva. Those are all for brain focus, calming. I take 2 drops of frankincense in the morning. I also, prior to that, take the MetaPower Advantage, which gives me an extra little mental boost as well. So that, I would say that would be my combo. And then in the moment, I use the Intune on the temple, on the temple across my wrist and over the heart. You see, otherwise I would get nothing done. You see what's happening in my life over here while I'm trying to be focused and professional.
It's impressive. It's impressive. I'm so impressed. I live
Just
over
like
here.
straight up Christian Ronaldo over here, and then little brother just trying to get ice cream. You know,
It's real life.
10:30 a.m.
It's real life. This is what happens when we do a live. Tammy's saying that. Tammy's saying that she does some of this at night. She's going to add it to the morning routine. Yeah, I mean, like, let's try. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what happens when we try it. Everybody's body's different, right? Everybody responds differently to things. I definitely want to double my what's the other thing that we talked about? Doubling the omegas. Yeah, I've been reading a lot about that. So I'm gonna definitely try that. I would recommend everybody else do that as well. And when you buy your Lifelong Vitality, you can add an extra omega at a discounted rate. So that's how you do it. Dr. Riggs came to one of our team. He did a master class for us, and we asked him about, and say, you know, as compliant as possible. But someone asked about when you are super anxious and you are very sad and you cannot sleep. That combination, those 3 things right there. He talked about.
I think I knew what he said. But you say it first.
Okay, so he said your omegas need to be dramatically increased. So he said, I believe he said, I don't remember the actual amount. I have it written down someplace, but double the omegas and still supplement from he recommended, maybe I'll look it up and give you guys the actual on social. I'll post the actual recipe, but you may know the total amount that we needed. But like significantly increase the omegas, and vitamin D. Those were the 2 main things that he mentioned. Of course, everything else, but those are the 2 main things that a lot of like my customers who deal with that trifecta were not doing. What did you think he was going to say?
So I've heard him before talk definitely the omega piece, but I've also heard him for that kind of, like I said, that trio of issues to do either obviously the omegas like you said, but an adaptive soft gel morning, afternoon, and Serenity at night, or doing a Serenity soft gel 3 times a day or 2 times a day and adaptive at night.
Okay.
So doing those combos together.
Say it again.
So either an adaptive in the morning and afternoon, Serenity at night for bed.
Okay.
Or a Serenity morning, afternoon, and adaptive at night.
Okay. So he did mention Serenity. And I'm telling you, I think I just tuned out because I was like, Serenity during the day? That doesn't make sense to me. He didn't mention adaptive soft gels, which I was surprised because that does wonders for me. But definitely increasing. So yeah, Darren, Casey, 8 omegas versus 4. Now, the thing about the omegas, and I wish I could remember the actual amount that we need to be taking in if anxiousness is something that you deal with. Ours are just smaller. So the amount of omegas in our smaller capsules, that's the reason why you have to take as many. And he actually recommending supplementing, just getting one of another brand from, he said Costco. It was an interesting conversation about supplements from Costco. He said because Costco supplements are, the people bringing them in are trained like pharmaceutical, not pharmaceutical, excuse me. They are like doctor scientists. They're scientists versus doctor pharmaceutical, right? So the scientists are looking at what's happening, chemically, biologically, versus cha-ching, right? So I'll pull my notes and I'll find it and post that regimen that he recommended with the actual dosage. But the vitamin D was something that is not on a lot of people's radars, especially people of color. Our vitamin D levels are usually low. And he recommended getting tested for your vitamin D level. And even he's so eloquent with this, but he says the vitamin D averages are like on a sliding scale, but most people are vitamin D deficient. So you need to be getting sun and supplementing, especially brown people, because we kind of tend to avoid the sun. So mental health issues, I don't know the statistics, but we may find that it's higher in people of color. I don't know. That's just something I'm throwing out there. Anywho, back to focus. But I do feel like all of those things, the combination of anxiousness, our brain spinning, and also not sleep could create this inability to focus. So really just trying to tune into all those things. So if D is low, Darren Casey is asking if D is low, then what? Bone density complex. He actually recommended supplementing external to doTERRA because the amount of vitamin D we just don't have in our products where it would make sense financially. That's how he worded it, which I had a ton of respect for him saying that. You just want to make sure if you're getting supplements that are not through doTERRA, just make sure they're third party tested is what I would say. I don't know what you would say, Dr. Ashley, about that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I actually found I do some work with a doctor supplement store, and I found actually a liquid omega and a spray omega that one's plant-based, that they just went and got their omegas since we're talking about omegas.
They're tuned in.
They are locked in and focused. But I found that as an I guess you could say as a complementary to lifelong vitality, because bone nutrient is better, like it has more in it. But again, I don't think if you are super deficient, it's not enough to get you where you need to go fast enough. Yeah,
and I mean, to me, the fact that he was saying that and we were having that conversation, to me felt like doTERRA is aware that we have some gaps in our supplement lineup. And I imagine we'll start to see those fill in here in the future. I'm not sure. I'm just making that up, but we'll see. We have lots of opportunity, and we're headed as a company. I think that would make a lot of sense. Okay, so we talked lifestyle. We talked getting good sleep. We talked hydrating. Someone mentioned water is not enough. The electrolytes really do help recharge. And if you haven't tried doTERRA's new electrolytes, try it. I think they work amazingly well. And I like the way that it tastes. Ooh, here's a fun tip. Try it with like sparkling water, like Pellegrino. Did you say you hate it?
Me? I just don't like carbonation anything.
Oh, okay. So I'll do it because I'm trying to get out of the habit of when I go out with my friends, I'm trying to get out of the habit of just getting a drink because I'm with my friends. It's just a habit. It's not even that I want it or I need it. My body's starting to not like alcohol quite as much. So I started taking a recharge and mix it with Pellegrino and ice. And it makes me feel like I'm having a cocktail, but I'm not. I'm supporting my body. So try that out if you guys want to. I don't know why my phone is jiggling, y'all. I'm sorry. So we talked lifestyle. So sleep, hydration, nutrition. Making sure we're giving ourselves getting those macro and those micronutrients. So making sure you're taking your lifelong vitality as well. Doubling up on the omegas, starting your day grounded, cedarwood, balance on the big toe, even in tune on the big toe or on the temples as needed throughout the day. Motivate. We talked about frankincense under the tongue. Great way to start the day. Okay, this is scary, but an adaptive and a serenity at the beginning of the day and a copaiba. I mean, let's try it. Let's try. These 2 babies showed up.
I would
Let's
try it. And maybe do one at a time.
Yeah.
If that makes you feel better to stair step it a little bit.
Yes. A recharge mocktail. Yeah, I think I'll try it one at a time and see what happens to me, see if it puts me to sleep. But absolutely. So I hope that was helpful to you guys. It was certainly helpful. I feel like this call was for me. It was certainly helpful.
Well, can I add in just a little for the babies? For the kiddos.
Oh, for the kiddos. Sorry.
Essentially the same regimen. Like obviously they went on and got the IQ Omega for us. And this is, you just take 5 milliliters, which is a teaspoon a day. Not only will you see an improvement in their ability to focus, but you will see an improvement in their ability to manage their emotions. So the omegas really help to balance serotonin levels, and that is huge for being calm. It's good also for being able to focus. So this is definitely part of their, actually the kids kit in general, the kids vitamins is part of their daily regimen. And
so
then
let me ask you, Dr. Ashley, do they like the taste of it? I've heard that kiddos don't like the taste of it.
Initially they were like, ooh, but to me it wasn't an option for them to not take it. So they're used to it now. And now that I put them in, like, I got those folds, like little medicine cups that come from like a Tylenol or ibuprofen, and I'll just put 5 milliliters in there, and they shoot it back when they're starting their breakfast, and they're over it now. Yeah. So initially, even with the chewables, they didn't love the chewables because prior to me knowing like that Flintstones are trash chemically and stuff, they were taking those, which of course they're much sweeter and all of that. So it took a while for them to get used to the Smiley vitamins, but now they take them because they know they have to. Yeah. 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 It's just part of it. So
I mean, we should be doing the same thing to ourselves.
We do balance on the bottoms of the feet, big toe, up the spine to start the day, like before school. And then we use Thinker here on the wrist before school. Now, they're young, so they don't really need to take it with them. But when we do use this, you take some oils with you, Atlas. He goes, yes, we do. we use the Intune especially, or not the Intune, but the Thinker before piano. Okay. Just to help them be able to just tune in a little bit better.
Yeah, I love it. It's empowering for the kids too to know they have their oils, I would imagine, that they can reach for. Yeah, it's so funny. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, we got a lot of stuff happening on Instagram. Somebody's recommending that we mix the recharge with the omegas for the little people.
Interesting.
I wonder how that would be. Oh, you just it's liquid. Yeah. Okay. Now, Darren Casey is bringing up Mito 2 Max supplement for focus. Now, that was interesting. Before it was the remix, I remember being at the Diamond Summit out in Utah one year, and they did recommend that for some people, kind of like how some people take coffee and it helps, like they drink coffee and it makes them go to sleep. There's something about, and maybe you can explain it technically, there's something about the energy boost. I have read it. I've read it, though. I've seen it and I've read it, but I have heard that Mito 2 Max can help some people with focus.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Yeah. So yeah, give it a try, Casey, and let us know how that works for you. I mean, and I want to just reiterate this. Everybody's body is different. You're going to respond differently to these things. You may try this regimen and it may not work for you. I like Ashley's recommendation, just maybe try one thing at a time and see what your body responds to. I think that's important. And then figure out what your cocktail is to support yourself. But I think what I took away from this too is when we were dealing with something like focus, I feel like so many people in this society are so quick to just be like, something is wrong with me, let me go take a pill, right? Whether it's an oil or, you know, something from a doctor, or maybe same with your kids. You know, I think the first step really is to look at your lifestyle and look at the things that you are doing that could be contributing to your state of mind. And I know for me personally, I have found that I need 7 hours of sleep, and it's non-negotiable. If I don't have it, the other one comes out. I'm learning, like, as I travel to, you know, I can't stay, you know, I stay by myself. I gotta like do certain things so that I make sure I get my 7 hours of sleep. Otherwise, my brain ain't doing it. Whatever the brain is supposed to do. So I mean, these are just simple things, simple fixes, and then you can reach out for some natural solutions to supplement as you need. Yeah. Did someone raise their hand? Atlas or Ace have something they'd like to add to the conversation?
Oh, they always have things they'd like to add, but they're done here.
Kim says stress is real life if you don't self-care. Exactly. We got a lot going on in this world. We got to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. So just because you're dealing with something, the brain fog, forgetfulness, it doesn't mean that there's a major issue. Maybe we can just take a look at our lifestyle and start from there. So we hope that you guys got a lot from this session and got some notes and some good things to try. I would love to talk about hormones next week, Dr. Ashley. I mean, can we talk about that next week?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thanks. Because I believe perimenopause is tapping me on my shoulder right now, and I'm traumatized by it all. So,
hey, girl, hey.
Yes, it is time. That's what I feel like it's saying. It is time. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We're going to drop our lives. We'll stay with our folks on Zoom if you guys have questions or anything that you want to share. And then we'll see you guys this same time, same place next week. Talk about hormones. I mean, we just made this up. Does that work for you? And when we can decide and readjust if we need to. Okay, we'll share the replay. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. Okay, we're dropping on Insta.